morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us this morning. So breakfast this morning was cooked by Jim McCrae. Thank you very much, Jim. And it's our special Veterans Day breakfast. So all of our veterans were able to eat for free. And what I like to do is just give us a moment to honor our veterans. So we're going to go around. If you served, please stand up. Let us know what branch you served in and where you were stationed. And I'm going to start with our very own Jim McCrae. So thank you, Jim. We'll start with you.
All right. Oh, you got the dual mic taped up. That's nice. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, I served from 2004 to 2009 with the 94th Engineer Company, Vertical Engineers, stationed in Wielsek, Germany, Grafenwehr-Hohensfels area in the Bavarian province. We did a 12-month tour in Iraq and a 14-month tour in Iraq, and also some time in Fort Leonard Wood at the end of my duty. The one place I swore up and down I never go back to because I did my basic training there, but c'est la vie, so yeah. You're next, bub. Yeah.
You gonna hold it? Sure. Name is David Maxner. I served in Germany and in Vietnam between the years 69 and 71.
All right. Do you want to run around with this?
Anyone else at this table? No, we'll come around, and if you can signal me if you serve, that would be great. Got it.
Name is Jim Bortle, and I served in the Air Force, and out at Westover in Springfield, Massachusetts. Went a long ways away.
Thank you for your service.
Angela DeAndrea, I was in Ulm, Germany with the engineers, U.S. Army engineers, and I was there from 69 to 70, and they're a great bunch of guys, and it was during the Vietnam War.
Oh, yes, Ray Taylor, Signal Corps Cadet, Fort Gordon, Georgia.
Thank you.
No military service after that.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Alan Pooler. I served in Korea 1952, 1953 in the Signal Corps.
Thank you.
Dick Testa. We were born in Milford, Massachusetts. Joined the Air Force. They said, what do you want to do and where do you want to go? And they sent me from 65 to 69 to Hanscom Field. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Hi, Ed Root, Fort Lee, Virginia, in 68 to 70. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lou Ventola, and I served in the early 50s, peacetime though, and I was stationed in San Diego, California.
Did I get everybody? Well, on behalf of all of us, I wanted to thank you all for your service and dedication to our country. Thank you so much. I know you're all here for John, but I've got a couple of quick announcements first, since we've got a captive audience. First of all, we have our Friends of the Council on Aging. They support a majority of the programs here. They're a wonderful asset to the town. They're having a Needle Arts Fair, so that will be on Tuesday from 10:30 to 1:30, and then again on Wednesday. So come on in, bring a friend, and do some shopping in our lounge. On November 26th, we're going to be having dinner, followed by a performance by the Cellar Dwellers. They've performed here before. Just please make sure that you sign up for that. I have no idea what that was. I'm good. And then I did just want to take a minute and introduce Ann Kulsick. She's a new member on the COA board, and she's working as a liaison with the United Way on their mental health subcommittee. So Ann has some things to say about their project.
For briefly, and I know I've spoken to you people before, some of you, the United Way Wellness Team has an initiative launching now into 2025. It is called the Nourish Program, and that is to nourish our mind and body. It's in 3 phases. These are brochures that I'll hand out to you if you raise your hand when I finish up here. And the first phase, which extends until December 22nd, is a fun phase. It has to do with us submitting recipes that might be nourishing to mind and body, perhaps attached with a little story from our tradition or our ethnic group. So, and that, as I said, we have a recipe box in the lobby, so it's very convenient. If you have a recipe, you can just submit it there, and I'll make sure it gets back to the wellness team of the United Way, and they're going to ultimately have a cookbook for us all. So it's a worthwhile project with a prize at the end. So thank you very much. If you raise your hand, I will give you these.
Thank you very much, Ann. I'm going to hand it over to John. John is our town manager. He comes here once a month to answer your questions, give us updates on the town, and he's got some special guests with him today. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Sharon. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thanks for coming to the Job with John program. This is recorded live and broadcast on television. So just so you're all aware of that, the fun part of the program is when I hear questions from all of you, and I do my best to answer them. At that portion, I'd ask you to just make the question brief, and then I'll repeat it so the viewing audience at home can hear what the question is, and I'll do my best to answer it. So first of all, I just wanted to say thanks to Jim McCrae for his service and certainly for his breakfast this morning. That was a nice tribute to all of you who served our country. I really enjoyed going to the Veterans Day ceremony earlier this week on the 11th at 11, and I brought my family there, and it was really nice. Beautiful day. A lot of people came out. Some really nice speeches from Jim McCrae, from our state senator, and from a local veteran, Mr. Borden, who was served in the Marine Corps. So if you haven't been to the Veterans Day event, I highly encourage you to come to it every year. It's really well done, and it's very moving. Great community gathering. So at the Job with John program, I usually start a little bit talking about myself for people that haven't been here before. Has anybody not been here before to the program? Anyone? Just one person? Well, I'm gonna do the whole spiel for you. Okay, so I have been the town manager here for 6.5 years. Before that, I worked in Andover and in Westford. I grew up in the city of Attleboro, which I'm very proud of. I live in Westford, which is right next door. I have 3 boys that are in school and in sports, and my wife is a teacher in a neighboring community. And government service is a big part of my life and our life, and it always has been. I'm very proud to be a town manager. A town manager is a job that a lot of people don't know what it is, and when I talk to friends at the baseball field, they don't know what they do. They think I'm elected. They have no idea. And I just say, well, it's kind of like being a CEO of a big company. But your company has so many different missions, so it makes it really fun. So like one day, I'm helping support Sharon in the mission of elder services. But the next day, I'm helping Director Cora York on public works things. And so it's a really fun job. We have really talented professionals that run this organization, and my job is just to help them. And I do my best to do that. You can have a seat, Corey. I'll bring you up later. I'm hired by the Select Board. The Select Board are elected by all of you. We have 5 members of the board. Actually, 1 member is here with us today, Dean Charter. And the Select Board hire me, and they keep me in line, and I follow their policy direction and implement what you all want to do through their policy direction. So that's a little bit about the town manager. That's a little bit about me. Then I go into some updates on what's happening in town right now, and then I get to the questions. I think the biggest thing I want you to know is that the Select Board called a special town meeting for Monday, November 25th, That's the Monday right before Thanksgiving, so everybody should be around and ready to go vote on things. Hopefully you got this in the mail today. It looks like this. It's a one-pager folded in half. You should have it in your mailbox when you get home today if you didn't have it already. I have a pile here if you want to just take one anyways. But we'll be discussing on that night, starting at 6 p.m. at the high school, we'll be discussing 6 articles. And the main article, the reason for the special town meeting was that the town is going to be acquiring open space on 19 and 35 Weatherby Street. That's going to be used for open space preservation purposes. If you're driving on Route 2 towards the Rotary, it's the big open field you see on your left. It's the woods behind that. The woods behind that big open field is currently owned by a family. And the town is going to be acquiring that land. We're asking the town to approve our request to acquire that land so that it can be forever preserved as open space. If you have questions about that, let me know, but it's something that the Community Preservation Act Fund is going to fund the purchase, all for except for $500,000, which we're actually getting from the state through a grant. And then a local conservation group is going to be fundraising. The Acton Conservation Trust is also going to be contributing. So it's a priority parcel for the Select Board and for the Open Space Committee. And if you have any questions about that, let me know. We're also going to be just authorizing a couple of collective bargaining agreements. As you all know, we have about 200 employees in town, and more than half of them are part of collective bargaining agreements. And we have 5 different unions. And there are 2 contracts that are currently expired. So given the opportunity to have a special town meeting, we're going to see if we can get those authorized at that meeting. We also need to purchase a new ambulance. We have been running advanced life support medical service since 2018. Prior to that, we provided regular ambulance service. But the ambulances are getting more expensive, and they're taking longer to buy. So rather than waiting until the annual town meeting, we're actually going to ask town meeting voters now to get us permission to start the process to get that thing in the queue, because they said it might take 2 years to get it. And we need it as soon as possible. We run a primary ambulance, a secondary ambulance, and we have a 3rd ambulance that's used as a mechanical backup. And right now we need to replace the mechanical backup and push those other 2 down the line so we can keep the fleet rolling and so that we can make sure that we can get to people's houses when we need to. And then finally, and CJ, our principal assessor, is going to talk a little bit about this, but we're also going to be having an article to approve a veteran's tax exemption. So an increase to the exemption that veterans may get on their property taxes, which CJ can answer any questions about that as well. There are 5 articles, not 6. I hope you come. It starts at 6 p.m. I don't expect it to be a long meeting, so hopefully you get there early. And if you have any questions about that, let me know. Otherwise, going on in town, we're working on the budget for next year. We're working on building or designing a new public works facility and trying to get people the design locked in and get support for that. We have all kinds of exciting things happening in this building, which I hope you're following in the newsletters. I hope you follow us on the website and on social media. And we have a select board meeting Monday night with a pretty packed agenda. We're going to be talking about traffic calming. At these meetings, at these Drive with John programs, a lot of questions I get are, why don't I have a sidewalk in front of my house, or why a car is driving so fast? And I do my best to answer those. But we're working on developing policies to help residents who want to make a difference and try to find ways to make traffic calming improvements happen, have a process in place for that to happen. So that'll be discussed Monday night. I want to introduce, I have 3 special guests here, at least. Maybe 4. I think I'm going to have the one that's going to be the briefest go first. Who do you think that would be? I'm going to go with Dean Charter. So Dean Charter is a select board member. He's also serving as the chair of the Public Works Building Committee. And Dean is here to give an update on the Public Works Building project.
Thank you. So the most important thing for the senior population to realize about the Public Works building is that this will have no impact on the operation of the transfer station, which we all know, other than the senior center, is the most popular facility for senior population. So the existing building was built in the late 1960s. It was, the select board at that time decided to cut back the size of the design of the building. They cut it back by a third. Building committee at that time said it will be insufficient before we've even paid off the bond. And that is indeed what happened. The building was designed for a town with a population of 14,000. We're now at 25,000. There are numerous structural deficiencies in the building, in addition to the fact that it's just too small for our operations. And I think it's important for everybody to realize that Public Works folks are sort of the first responders. You can't get police and you can't get fire to your home unless there are roads that are clear and adequate. So it's really important to make sure that we support those folks. I spent most of my career working for the town in and around that building, so I've got a pretty good knowledge of the deficiencies of the building. Bottom line is we're in the midst of design right now. It's going to be an expensive building. It's going to be bonded. You know, we're probably looking in the neighborhood of around $40 million total project cost. So it's going to have an impact on everybody's taxes, and we're certainly aware of that. I live in town. I'm a senior citizen. I don't want to pay any more taxes either, but there are some things that we really have to invest in. The next building committee meeting is, all of our meetings are public. That'll be Thursday, December 12th at 7 p.m. at Town Hall. We've got the architects there. We've got the owners, project managers there. We're going through a series of design options that we're looking at. Once we resolve all that and we've agreed on everything, we're going to be bringing it to town meeting. It'll be at the town meeting in May. And construction will probably take 1 to 2 years once we get the authorization for funding. If you check on the town's website, the videos of all of our meetings are there. Plans, feasibility studies, there's quite a bit of information depending upon how deeply you want to reach into it. And if anybody has any specific questions at some point, I'll be here. I've got some business cards. You folks can reach out to me directly, and I'd be happy to address any questions you've got. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here and giving that update. I wanted to go next. So there's a lot of construction in town, if you've noticed. It's progress, okay? It's going to look really good. Kelly's Corner is really turning into something. I got an update from the planning director who's taking the lead on that project this morning, and I wanted to share it with you because it's always a question, so I might as well just answer it before you ask. But they're out there today. I sat through that traffic like probably many of you did to get here. But the update is this past week, the new traffic signal arms and masts were installed on Mass Ave and Community Lane. Community Lane is now going to be called Carroll Spinney Way. Did you all know that? That's pretty cool, right? So the new traffic signals were installed there. The new granite curbing is being installed and backfilled, getting ready for installation of new sidewalks. The Acton Water District is putting their water mains in, and that work is still going on in 27. A large portion of the relocation of utility poles has been completed, moving them from the front of the sidewalk to the back of the sidewalk. Eversource is still out there today, moving lines. At this point, the project is still projected to be completed in late 2025, so a year from now. But I think I've said before, this last year is going to feel a lot different than the first 2 or 3. It's really you'll be able to see the changes. You're going to be able to benefit from the traffic circulation improvements. Hopefully they'll be turning the lights on near CVS soon. I asked her that, and the state said they didn't know. but hopefully that'll be a real difference. Getting out of the CVS parking lot has been hard for years. Now we have the lights. All we need to do is turn them on. So we're almost there. So thank you for your patience. But one of the projects that we're working on is we're extending sewer from over near where Dunkin' Donuts and the Hosmer House is on Main Street. We're extending it under Route 2 to support an exciting new affordable housing project called the McManus Manor. And we have here today Kelly Cronin, who is the recently retired executive director of the Acton Housing Authority, but she's still here working on this project. And she's here to just give a brief update on what the McManus Manor project is so that you all are aware of it and anything else about that.
Thank you, John. Hi, folks, and our chair is here, Nancy Kolb. Nancy's been the chair of the Housing Authority for almost 20 years, and the Housing Authority Board is who wanted to prioritize new housing for seniors in the community. So this project is going to be 41 units of elderly housing, and 6 of the units are going to be set aside for people with disabilities, cognitive disabilities, who will receive services from the Department of Developmental Services. That's like Minuteman ARC and organizations like that locally. And that was because people in the community really wanted us to serve that population. We heard that loud and clear at the community meetings we had early on and at town meeting. Town meeting provided 91% of the vote to support this project. The town has been working with us hand in hand to make this happen. We are closing on the project in December, latest January, and construction will begin this winter. We're hoping the project will be completed in the summer of 2026. There will be a lottery process for access to those new units. We'll make sure it's advertised here with the Council on Aging way before the applications are due. 16 of the units are going to be for people below 30% of median income, and then the rest of the units are for people below 60% of median income. Let's see, what else do I want to let you know about? So we'll make sure the town has that information on their website. We'll make sure the information is here. It'll be on our website. We'll put it in the local now paper that we have online. And so if anybody's interested, please let us know. The new director is Melissa Bible. She had a conflict this morning. That's why she's not here. But we're really looking forward to being able to provide affordable housing in town.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you for your service at the Housing Authority and all the great work that you've been doing there, and Nancy as well. Other things so also on that site, I mentioned the sewers coming across Route 2 to provide sewage for the Housing Authority project, but also on that site is going to be a new dog park. The dog park project is going out to bid by the end of the year, and construction will start probably at the same time or in coordination with that project. The Housing Authority project is going to be where the Kennedy Landscaping Building is, and the dog park will be way on the other side of the site, closer to the highway. So they shouldn't be in each other's way. But that's another interesting, exciting thing there. I also wanted to have our Public Works Director, Corey York, who's here with us this morning. We're going to several meetings together after this, and he's going to say hello and give a brief update on his morning here.
Good morning. As John said, my name is Corey York. I've been with the town about 30 years. As you mentioned, the traffic delays, some of those road projects are us, so I apologize for that. But you'll see us all over town. Right now we're finishing up some work on Taylor Road. We've been working on a sidewalk there, doing some stone wall relocations and sort of a roadway realignment near the schools. Another project that we were able to just completed was we completed the sidewalk on Willow Street. So it picks up about the Willow Street intersection, runs down to Summer, so it ties into those sidewalks that we built years ago, kind of filling in those gaps. And then we're also hoping very soon to finish up Gardner Playground. We've been working on that. We just put in the new entrance and the archway going in, building stone walls and landscaping. So we're on the tail end of that. So fingers crossed that will that'll all be done before will be done before Christmas, but hopefully sooner than that. So a lot going on. We're just really trying to button up a lot of these projects and shifting gears and getting ready for snow. So it's that time of year, yeah. So, but thank you for your time, and yeah, a lot going on, so.
30 years. It's pretty good. He's been working all the streets and all the sidewalks out there. He had a part in making them happen. Thank you. So we have one more guest I'd like to bring up, and then we'll get to questions. Our principal assessor is C.J. Carroll, and he does a lot of important and interesting things, and he's going to talk about a few of them this morning. C.J.
Hi, everybody. Thank you all for having me. I'm C.J. Carroll. As John just mentioned, I've been with the town for about a year and a half. I do recognize some faces from past visits here. Those of you who don't know me likely know Marty from my office and maybe my predecessor, Brian McMullen, whose shoes I'm doing my best to fill. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about tax relief programs offered by the Board of Assessors and the Assessor Department. I also want to touch a little bit on the data collection project that some of you hopefully are aware of that's currently ongoing within the town. So we could start off with the tax relief programs. I'm just going to give a brief summary of some of the things that may be relevant to you all. So firstly, there's several senior exemptions offered by the town. The primary one and the one that is offered statewide essentially is Clause 41. So Clause 41C specifically is for people 65 and older within the town of Acton. It provides a $2,000 exemption. For this particular exemption, there are income and asset restrictions range from about $46,000 to about $69,000 for income, and for assets about $80,000 to about $110,000. If anyone has any questions as I go through these, feel free to raise your hand. I'm happy to answer any questions or get back to you if there's a detail I don't know. Also within Clause 41, you have a Clause 41A. That is a senior tax deferral. Tighter of an income restriction on that, but if anyone is in a situation where they feel that, right now the taxes are a little bit too much and income is tight, you can come talk to us, and a deferral is one option where you do defer the taxes, so they do need to be paid back, but you can defer them for this year or any years that it's really not working. So for the next one, also a senior exemption, what we have is the 17D. Won't talk too much about this one. It is surviving spouse. It's for 70 and older. No income restriction, but it is for an individual who is a surviving spouse, and it provides about a $700 exemption per year. The big one that I want to talk about specifically for seniors is the circuit breaker-based tax credit. So some of you may or may not be familiar with the Massachusetts Income Tax Relief Program that is the circuit breaker. And I don't have all of the specifics on how to qualify. Talk to a CPA if you're interested. But essentially what it is within your Massachusetts income tax, if you meet certain qualifications, then you can receive a set amount, and that amount typically increases each year. I want to say it's in the range of about $2,000 this year. So definitely talk to your accountants or Google it. You can reach out to us as well, and we can send you some links that might be helpful on it. But what the town then does is provide a means-tested exemption that is attached to that. It's a little bit different than, there's a handful of other communities who offer something similar. Ours was implemented prior to the state actually providing an avenue for it. So ours is through what's called a Clause 18, which is a hardship exemption. It is not necessarily that, it just uses that as a vehicle. So what it does is it provides a reduction of up to 50% of your real estate taxes. So it is a pretty significant exemption if you do qualify for the full amount. It does require that you submit that circuit breaker income tax credit the prior year. So if you're interested in something like this, talk to your accountant now, and as you do your income taxes, in the future years, then we may be able to get you on for this. Eligibility on this one, your property tax needs to be 10% of your gross income or more, or 25% of your rent if you are a renter, because renters can also qualify, needs to be more than 10% of your income. I do, by the way, have some pamphlets that describe all of this, because I know this is a lot of information coming at you. So there are about 25 pamphlets over there. Hopefully that's enough for anyone who wants one. There's also some business cards with my name and phone number and email on there if you have any questions or if you want an emailed copy. Assessed value of the residence. Data, yeah. Assessed value of the residence, by the way, on that one needs to be under $1,025,000. Another thing I want to talk about a little bit is the data collection project that the assessor's office began about 2 months ago within the town. So it is mandated by the state that every property within the town needs to be visited at least once every 10 years. That's across the board. So in Acton, traditionally what's happened is every 10 years, this large project is done where about half the town needs to be visited. That's what we're in the middle of right now, about 4,400 parcels, so there's about a 50-50 chance that we will be coming to your property. We do have all the information of all our data collectors hired by Vision Government Solutions on our website. If you're concerned or if you want to look at that, there's a little bit more information there as well. And just know that if you're uncomfortable with it or anything like that, by law, you do not need to let anybody on your property if you do not want them on your property. So with that, let's see what else I wanted to touch on here.
What are they going to be looking for?
Sure. So what they'll be looking for is essentially all the public record data on your property record card. So every property in town has a property record card, and it houses all of the information on your house or land or commercial property, whatever it might be. And they're going to be going through with that card and checking boxes that are correct or making any corrections that are incorrect. Not necessarily because anything may be wrong on your property. If it is, it could be an error. It's really because the state mandates this, and it's to ensure that our data that we're using to calculate everyone's values, which then feed into the tax bills, is correct and fair and equitable. So that's the main purpose of this. Sure. Sure. So the question was, what happens if you're in a condominium, which is a really good question. So in some cases, what may happen is they do come to each door and request to enter. In other cases where it may be a complex that's a little bit tougher to get through the doors, or maybe it's trespassing, maybe it's locked, whatever it might be, you'll likely be sent a mailer. So it'll be a data mailer, and it'll have your property record card, and it'll ask, how does all of this information look? And then if you wouldn't mind helping the program, it is very helpful to us, sending that back to the company so they can confirm anything that's correct or anything that's incorrect. And there's a possibility that if anything isn't making a lot of sense, with what we have versus what you're reporting to be true, we may request to come in and make those corrections. That may be the case. Any other questions on the data collection project? Sure, great question. So the question was, if you choose not to let anyone into your home, is there a consequence? Not necessarily a consequence. However, what does happen is sometimes you may feel that your valuation is incorrect for one reason or another. Typically, it's an overvaluation claim. It is by law possible that if you refuse and continue to refuse entry, that you do waive that appeal option. So essentially, there is no direct consequence. However, just keep in mind that in order for the abatement process, if you choose to use it, in order for it to go smooth, we do need to see the property. Yep. So personally, on a case-by-case basis, no. But what we do have available is we have organized in what part of town each data collector is. So if you'd like, you can always reach out to our office. We can let you know at least what neighborhood each individual's in, and then that way you might be able to get an idea of when they might be visiting your home.
I'd like to just give a story. I'm in an antique home, an antique cape, and they were charging me a fair amount of money, and they were actually charging me out to where the ceiling height was this high. And I let the assessor come in and he looked at it, he says, no, they're only supposed to charge to where there's a 5-foot head clearance. So I got my, the number they use to charge the taxes reduced. So it's not a bad thing to have them come in. And they have announced 3 names. It's on the website. I wrote them down because I don't remember, but when they come, I have no problem with letting someone in my house. You know, I mean, unless you've been doing a lot of secret stuff in there that you don't want to get charged at, I'm not there.
Yeah, thank you. That is a great point. You know, none of this is to increase values. This doesn't impact the tax levy as a whole. This is to make sure information's correct and that everyone's tax bill comes out to be fair and equitable. That's the purpose of this project. Any other questions on that? Last thing I do want to mention is, John touched on it a little bit, but the Clause 22I from the HERO Act, I just wanted to give a little bit more context on that. So disabled veterans exemptions have had a stable exemption amount for some time. And then so the article that's going up on town meeting, what that does, and thanks to Jim McRae for all the help getting that on town meeting article, or town meeting warrant, what that does essentially is it provides an annual cost of living adjustment, and that's determined by the Consumer Price Index, authorized by the Department of Revenue each year. So what it does is whatever a disabled veteran may be receiving annually, there is a cost of living percentage increase in that amount annually, and that would go into effect. It passed this year, it would go into effect next fiscal year, fiscal 2026.
Nice job, CJ.
Thank you.
Nice work. Well done. And CJ will be on the stage after town meeting. So every year the select board sets the tax rate, and we can't do it until after any special town meetings occur. And since we're having a special town meeting the week of Thanksgiving, we had no other choice but to call the tax classification hearing that same night. So if you come to town meeting and you want to see CJ up on stage afterwards doing the tax classification, stick around. I think it'll start at 8 o'clock after the special town meeting ends. And that will be the board meeting and just setting the tax rate decisions that they make every year. So that's a lot of information, and we have some great guests. And now here's the point where I want to hear from all of you. I'd like to hear anything you heard about on Facebook that you want to know whether it's true or not. I want to hear anything that's going on in your neighborhood. I want to hear any questions you have about the town, the budget, or whatever else you have. So thank you. Yes?
Real quickie, you mentioned the senior housing and you mentioned the dog park. What happened to the seniors that are sandwiched in the middle?
So the question is about the whole site that includes the McManus Manor and the dog park. There is going to be a park amenity in between those two sites. It's been called different things, a senior park, a passive recreation area, other things. It hasn't been fully developed what it's going to look like yet, but it'll be something. We're just trying to get those two other projects in motion, and I think more work will return to what exactly that will look like too. Having 3 projects going at once was going to be too much. Two is a lot, 3 would have been too much. So, but thank you. It's coming. No, you're right in the middle. Not set aside, you're right in the middle. Yes?
Is the McManus project for sale? Is it a purchase or is it a rental?
The McManus project is for rent. It's a rent, and you apply to get considered to be rented there. And once you're in, unless you do something wrong, right? Okay. Yes?
This is a question for Corey. You're taking over the community garden project. So it's not the recreation department anymore. Thank you for sending. I got my application. I couldn't open up. I checked that. I could not open up the application, so I got my emails. The only thing that's not there are the water days that they're supposed to do.
So the question is about the community garden. Corey does a lot of different things for this organization, and whenever we ask him to do something else, he says yes. He's that kind of guy. He's now helping oversee community gardens. And the question is, when are the watering days?
As far as I know, there's not actually watering days. The section, what we did with the community garden when I was looking at it, realized that there's 3 different garden locations, Prospect Street, North Main Street, and Morrison Farm. It turned out there were different sets of rules and applications for each location. So as what we were doing in the first phase, working with Ian and Natural Resources, was just trying to consolidate that, simplify it into sort of one set of rules, one set of applications. The watering guidelines we kept the same as before, which should be mirroring the active water district. And I did hear that question about watering days. I'm not aware of that. I know they had restrictions about the number of days or when you can do it. We're going to get clarification from the water department on that because we want to align with what rules they have in place. So, and
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what that used to be Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays, so.
yeah, we're trying to keep it simple. So we're trying to align with what the water district's message is and trying to keep with that. So we'll know more of the winter impact.
Stay tuned for more on watering days. Any other questions? Yes, back there.
Could you address the quality of water in the town of Acton? The drinking water, I know many people who find that it doesn't taste right, and some of my friends buy their own water from the store.
Thank you. So the question was about if I can speak to the quality of the water and concerns that some of her friends buy bottled water instead of drinking it. As far as I know, the water meets all the standards that it's supposed to meet, and they're doing the Water District, which is a different government organization than the town of Acton. So I don't really have any role in the water, but I'm happy to try to answer it the best I can. I believe they're following all the regulations that they're supposed to, and the water is being treated and cleaned the way it's supposed to. I haven't heard anyone complain about the way it tastes. I think I drink it sometimes. I don't mind it. But I think any questions about water would go to the Acton Water District, which, if you can believe it, it's entirely owned government. They have their own town meeting, they have their own elected officials, and they have their own manager, and everything. So we work very closely with them, but I don't really get involved in water other than trying to help. Yes?
What's the status of the medical insurance for the town employees and
The question is about the retiree health insurance. So as many of you know who are following leading up to town meeting, we made a major change in the active employees' health insurance plans to try to reduce costs because they're spiraling out of control for health insurance. We were hit with a 23% increase in our health insurance costs last year, so we changed to a statewide collaborative called Maya for the active employees, and it made for a more reasonable increase. It's still it's still expensive, and it's still going to go up more than we want it to, but at least it's controlling the costs in a better way. Retirees were on a separate plan called Aetna, and we were trying to get them to come into the Maya plan as well, but the cost structure to make that transition is such that I believe we're sticking with Aetna. Yes, the plan is, and we're required to have them all of our employees and retirees in the same plan, but Maya has allowed us to wait another year to make. Yeah, it was supposed to happen in December, which is like next month, and we're going to shoot for the next December. So sorry, I mean it's inconvenient, and you had just changed. I know there's several retirees in the room, and I understand health insurance is confusing enough without having a change on you. But we're doing the best we can to make it as cost effective as it can be for you and for the town. And it's a moving target. It really is. Any other questions or complaints, concerns? Yes.
I just want to say how great the stone walls are on Taylor Road. Fantastic job.
A compliment for the stone walls on Taylor Road. Any guys you want to mention that made those?
Yeah, we have a number of guys in the crew. Billy Murphy and Tom Garman are kind of the main two, and they've been teaching the younger guys how to do it, but they've been doing a great job. They've been all over town building them, yeah. It's a good talent.
Yes.
Actually, the sidewalk and curbs on that road kind of disappear at night.
Oh, do they?
Yes. Because it gets blacktop sideways, blacktop curb, blacktop street.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It's nice with a stripe somewhere along there.
Yeah, we'll take a look. Thank you.
Yes, question back there.
It's a road situation at Jones's Field, where you come down Martin Street and Jones's Field is on your left. Is that five-way intersection?
Yeah.
Okay, Jones's Field is on your left. On the right there at that corner, is this huge pothole. And 2 times my almost ruin the rims on my tire. It needs to be filled in. It just goes down.
See, I can usually insulate Corey from these things. When I come here, I take the concern and I bring it back to Corey. Now you get to go right to him. This is good. Write that down. All right. What else? Fog lines. Those are called fog lines. You want fog lines. Where do you want them? Everywhere. Okay. Okay. Center line. Okay. So the traffic engineering is a strange science. Some things that you do to a road that you think would make it safer actually make it more dangerous, because people's driving habits change based on the environment that they're in. So that if you're, like I was in, anyways, if you're in an area that's wide open and it feels wide open, you have a tendency to just fly. But if you're in an area that's constricted, or there are obstacles, you tend to drive slower. So having a center line, in some cases, and I'm not a traffic engineer, and I don't want to be, but I think having a center line gives people a sense of security that they can just fly on their side of the road, where in reality, they need to use more caution and be more aware of oncoming traffic. And so having no center line there gives them that sense of needing to slow down and be more aware.
Okay, I'm just saying, I don't want it there. It's fine. What I do want is that huge pothole taken care of.
Pothole. He already wrote that down. He wrote down the pothole. Anything from over here? Yes.
Down there by the Grange Hall, Route 27, between 3 and maybe 6 o'clock at night. It's kind of a rat's nest. And that railroad street has a dedicated light. It goes every cycle. And 90% of the time, there's not a car waiting there for that green light. It just backs up everything on 27 going north.
Yes. Yeah, so the traffic.
High Street coming down onto 27 going north.
Yeah, I saw that. That's in the capital plan. You're looking to get replacement for those traffic signals, right? Is that because they don't work? Yeah, the technology on those is old, and we need to get new ones. So we'll be able to better program them if we get the new signals. It was expensive. 100,000? Okay. Anyways, we'll keep working on it. Any other questions? Yes.
Hi. Many places throughout town, the telephone poles and the trees are right on the edge of the road, town road, to give an example. Since you can't move those, could you do reflectors or something on it?
A reflector on the pole. Yeah, I've seen those. I don't know who put how they get there, but I've seen them before. I bet it's usually residents that live nearby that do it. Is that what happens? Yeah. Or the utility. So the question was about sometimes when they put in new poles, they put them right on the edge of the road. I think I know where you're talking about on near the DPW yard. Right. And it's closer than you think it should be. Right. Yeah.
Maybe some kind of reflector thing. I know you can't move a lot of these things, some of the trees, but when you're trying to at night when there are bright lights, there's oncoming traffic, at least if you have something.
Reflector. That's a good idea. Thank you. Yes, question back there.
Arlington Street from 111 to Summer Street needs a sidewalk. About a third of it, maybe to a half, has a sidewalk. The rest needs it.
Arlington Street from 111 to what? To Summer. Okay. Is that on the sidewalk prioritization list? I don't think it is. Yeah.
It's been last for a long time.
Yeah.
It's going to get done in 2 years.
I don't think we ever said it was going to get done in 2 years. No, we wouldn't say that. Well, thank you. We'll the traffic. As I mentioned, the select board is talking about traffic calming. Every year, we try to make $1 million plus investment in sidewalks, and a lot of times it doesn't make it all the way through the budget process because there are so many competing priorities. But we're going to keep trying. Corey's going to keep advocating, and we're trying our best to get the state to pay for stuff for us, which we've been pretty successful in doing with several state projects, like Kelly's Corner, for example. They're spending $18 million to improve our town.
This land is all flat. There's nothing in the way of putting sidewalks.
Yeah, just throw a quick plug. We are, next week, we're meeting with the Transportation Advisory Committee, who's the ones that kind of took over the sidewalk prioritization. So we're meeting with them to do a sort of a town-wide prioritization of all goals like that, traffic calming, sidewalks, what the priorities are. I know the Transportation Advisory Committee has been looking at what the former Sidewalk Committee did and trying to revamp that prioritization. So I'm sure they'll be looking at things like that, the Arlington Street, seeing what the priorities are now and how they might want to change it or add to it. So that's something they're doing. And then just one other project we're working on in the South Acton Village that came up. At some point this winter, we'll be holding a forum to talk about the South Acton Village and traffic in there. So we'll be talking about that intersection, basically from Central Street down to High Street, because there's so many intersections close, what we can do to improve that area. But we, as I mentioned, we do have that complete kind of town-wide program that we're looking at all the road safety issues and trying to see what's out there, see what's not on the list, and how to best prioritize that. So if you're interested, you can reach out to that, but I'm sure we'll have something online as well where you can submit more comments if you have other locations and concerns.
Who's the contact person you talk to?
It's probably going to be me, but yeah, it's.
Is this good enough? Should I do something else?
Yeah, no, I made a note to put it on there, so I'll be talking with the group about that. So, yep.
Okay, thank you, Corey. Who wants the last question? Oh, here we go.
It's not about traffic. I just, the NAGOG mall is slowly disappearing. How far is that going to go? They're taking that.
The question about the NAGOG Mall and the changes that are occurring there. Yeah, so the board approved the site plan for McGovern Subaru, or McGovern, to put a car dealership, I believe it's Subaru, on the right side where most of the demo has happened. And the left side is supposed to stay there for the near future. There's been no plans approved for something to go there. So the Dollar Tree, the restaurant, and a couple other things have leases. They'll be there for the near future. Yeah, so that's what's happening there. Did that answer your question? Okay, and there's going to be a new Mexican restaurant there called Luna Mexican, where the Bickford's and the As Good As It Gets used to be. That should be opening before the end of the year, hopefully, which should be a nice new option for all of us. I wanted to thank ActonTV. Mark is the executive director. He does a nice job. Interesting thing about ActonTV is it's funded primarily from cable fees. And I don't know how many people have cut their cord at home, but a lot of people have. And so the interesting thing about local cable is that the funding source is slowly diminishing because people are not using it anymore. And so we're doing our best to support Mark and his team. They're running all over town, providing services to both the municipal organization, but also community groups, the school district, and other things. And they do a really nice job. So thank you for that. And we're actually, I have an annual cooking show that I do over there. They have the studio they have is amazing. They have the cameras overhead, the lights. It's like a real kitchen that you'd see that Martha Stewart would have. And I do a cooking show the last 3 years. And Vivian, who works with Mark, put out a thing on Instagram or something asking what dish that people wanted me to make. And some of the things that people are suggesting are going to be very hard to make. So if you have any easy things that you want me to make, I'd encourage you to chime in on that. So to give me a peanut butter, yeah, put that in the thing. Say peanut butter and jelly, and that'll be easy for me. I appreciate it. We're taping it next Friday, I think, and it'll probably air sometime after that. But anyways, I appreciate you being here and your interest in what's happening in the community. And I hope we all have a good weekend. Thank you.